Hey, this is Oliver and welcome to a brand new tutorial. And first of all, this is what we will create. So we will do this energy second pixel thing here, which ends in the state of liberty, in small of course, but we will do this with all those pixels and all the things in quite a few minutes. And yeah, grab yourself some pizza or eat some popcorn or whatever you like to enjoy this tutorial. Hopefully you enjoy that. And yeah, let's jump in. First, let me go through my project. I have this Manhattan time-lapse footage. Sorry for that. I have this Manhattan time-lapse footage, and I have the State of Liberty. And I have this image from Pixel Squid, and you can check this out. I'm not sponsored by them, but they have cool stuff you can use. You can search for anything you like, and they have a lot of things in their library. Let's try bird. I like it's here, so simply bird. And you can see they have a lot of 3D models, and if you like this penguin here, you can see it loads up there, and then you can rotate the camera angle of this bird, and you can paste that into your footage. So this is what we have this State of Liberty for. But anyway, let's go in. And first of all, I make a new composition. I make it HD 1920 by 1080. I have square pixels. I have 25 frames a second, but it's up to you. You can also use those 29.97 or this 23.976. I don't know, but in Europe we have 25 frames and we have it 10 seconds and a black background. Hit OK. And first of all, I bring my Manhattan footage into that. This is what I have so far. I bring in my State of Liberty into that. And shrink that down as on the keyboard, and shrink it down so that it fits. I think that looks not so bad. Okay, so this is the first thing. Let me color correct the State of Liberty a little bit. I go to curves, and let's see, it's a little bit darker, so that fine. We have a little bluish color here, so I go to my blue and push that a bit up so we get a bit more blue onto the side here. That's fine. And also we'll color correct the background. Again, curves onto the background. I will make an S curve a little up here and a bit down here to get it better in the darks here. And of course I don't want to do this with the red channel. I want to do this with the RGB channel. Here we go. So we can darken that better. And I go to my blue channel and push here in the middle and bring the blue dark a bit to something greenish so that we get here. You see, I will overdo this. Here we pump blue into the dark areas, but we like to reduce the blue. So we got some cool greenish look here. So that's before, after. Simply a bit more contrast, and let's get started with the first effect, which is this circle here. Let me first hide the State of Liberty, and first of all we'd like to have this effect here. Here we go, this one here, this ring. And how to do this? It's quite simple and quite easy. We go to our shape tool, we grab the ellipse tool and draw an ellipse here. So let's see. Let me unhide the state so that we go around here. Something like that should make it. That's cool. So now I can hide that for now. And the first thing is we need Pattoon to that. If you don't have the Pattoon plugin, then you can download that in trial version, of course. Let me drag this onto the shape layer and it starts texturizing. You can download this on aescripts.com/Pattoon, or you can simply search for Pattoon. And if here is the version 1.5, please ask us for the beta, because the brand new version is version 2.0 and the release is within the next 1 or 2 weeks. In case you watch the tutorial and you see version 2.0, you're ready to go, download the trial version and you can follow this tutorial. If not, please leave us a message. We will send you anything for the beta to get you started with this tutorial. And yeah, this is sponsored because this is our plugin, so this is sponsored to be clear from ourselves. So first of all, I need a texture. I go not through the basic settings of Pattoon. I go to my textures. I will texturize that by using some topicals, and I will have this topical texture. And I go to my displace settings. I make the displace active. I go to my transform settings in the displace and will bring the distance end to, let's say, 30 pixels. And I will play with the displace progress. Now we can see how the pixels start to pushed away. And the next is I go to the transform mode. I like to have them slide. And I will go to the offset point. You see it's here, so I'll bring this up here, so because I like to push those pixels upwards. So let's see a little bit more. Let's bring this more up, something like that should be fine, and push it into the middle, and that's close to what we like to achieve. So this is now displaced by the texture, so it covers the black and white channels of this texture and will displace that according to the texture. So if you change the texture to this, you will see you have a completely different displace effect. Here we have this bricks one. You see it's simply everything which is black stays on the floor, everything which is white goes more up in a displacement, and this is how you can control those displace progress. Here we go. I mean, this looks also quite funny. Let me see if we transform this a little bit down. Nice. I like that. But anyway, we go back to our main thing. So I go to my texture. So here we go. And I like to have this waves here, and that's why we change the displace intensity from patterns to turbulence, and that looks quite better to what we like to have. So I bring the displace progress back to 100% so we can see this. And here we have our waves, and they are pre-animated, so they are wobbling around here, which is quite cool, but it's too fast. So I go to my turbulence settings, and here we have a auto animation speed, and it's on 50. We bring this down to, let's say, 6. That should give us a smooth, very smooth movement, and that's exactly what I was looking for. So the next thing is we change the transfer mode from normal to add to get rid of those black pixels, and we add that to our footage. And I like to play around with the turbulence settings here for a bit. Let's see if we change that to noise. That looks a bit better, and bring the frequency to, let's say, 10 should be fine, and the modulation to 5, and let's play with the contrast because we are increasing or decreasing the contrast. And you can see we can push those pixels upwards and downwards by changing the contrast value, and I like to have a few of them sitting on the ground while they're moving here, so they're sticking on the ground. That's fine. That's exactly what I was looking for. So now we'd like to have those pixels animated. So we go to second number 1, and we go to our displace progress and hit the stopwatch and bring the value down to 0. Stopwatch, and go to second number 3, and here we like to have the full progress, and we bring this up so we have that simply animated from 0 to 100. Here we go. Nice. So what now is, if we have nothing displaced, we see those pixels lying on the floor, and maybe we can, or maybe you'd like to animate that over the transparency of the opacity of this thing but I like another way because I like to come them step by step out of the ground. So to achieve that, we have a settings here in the output that says show only displaced pixels. If you check that, it's immediately gone, and if you go forward now, it starts coming one frame later, and you ask, okay, what is the goal for that? And what we will do now, let's go to the middle to explain that. For example, if we go to our transform settings, and as you remember, we played with the contrast. If we bring this all the way more up, you see the pixels disappear. And the same thing will happen with the brightness. If I bring this down, I can animate that over time. So we will animate that over time. So we know that the contrast was already on 220%. So we stopwatch here on second number 3 and go back to second number 1 and bring this all the way up to, let's say, 700 or so should make it. Let's see what we have so far. It starts here and it goes up, and here we go. That looks good but not perfect. Let's see what the brightness can do for us. Maybe we bring this also down to 0 and animate that over time. So here's nothing. Hit the stopwatch here, and I know we have to go back to here, and we have or need 100 or close to 100. So and now everything comes out of the ground. That's exactly what I was going for. Okay, we have it so far. Let's see the state of liberty, and let's draw a mask around the shape to get rid of those pixels here in the background. And first, before we do so, let's give him some life and put some glow on this thing. I think everything looks good with the glow on it. So glow number 1, and let's go a bit into the depth of that. Let me solo that layer so you can follow me. So as you see, we have the glow, and if you play with the threshold, you will see start here in this area the glow. So we bring this down, and here we have it's completely overdone. So what we will do is make more glow instances. So I go to let's say 40. Let's see, I like to have 35. So I'd like to have those areas here. So 35. I bring the glow radius down to 1 to have all these pixels here. And now let's see, you see, I think this is a good amount of brightness. Let's try 35. That should be fine. You have to check that on your own because this is not a setting you can simply copy and paste. You have to try and error with this. The glow intends to 5, and with the settings I make a copy, string D on a keyboard, and let's play with the radius and bring this away more up. And the intents to, let's say, 1. You see here, and let's see what we can do with the threshold. I think we leave it, or let's bring it down to 30. And we will make another copy, string D on a keyboard, and now you see here the smooth glow, and we bring the radius up. Something around here, and now we have a very cool soft glow effect around with 3 instances. You can play with the threshold to brighten this up. I'll leave it on 30 because for this it's enough, and you got the idea. And I can't really handle my keyboard now, so let's see how it looks in composition, and that's exactly a very cool look. Perfect. Let me mask that out. If you're on a shape layer, you cannot draw a simple mask because it will make another shape, so you have to pre-compose this whole thing. And this is a string shift C on the keyboard, or layer pre-compose, move all attributes, call this ring to keep it organized. Hit OK, and again switch back to transfer mode to add. If you can't see those modes, you have those little icons here, And if you use this one, expand or collapse, you can make your transfer modes visible. Just in case you didn't know that. Okay, let's talk about the state of liberty. How to get that into our footage. This is very, very simple and quite easy. If you have downloaded Pattoon, we have a, double T, we have a preset that's called beam in, and we'd like to have the beam in number 2. And where the heck is it? It's not updated. Oh, I like it. Hold on one second. Yeah, here we go. Back on the state of liberty, of course. And here is the Pattoon beam in 2. So we go to second number 1 and drag this onto the state of liberty. And here we go. This is what we have within the preset. Quite cool. Exactly what we had before. And the only thing we have to change is the transfer mode again to add. And now we will see we have a little issues. And this is because the effect starts here. And this is because the state of liberty is not comp sized. It has its own size, and you see this here are the dimensions. So, and to get rid of this, let me delete this settings here. So here we go. We go to all of these settings, delete, and back to normal, and we have to pre-compose this. String Shift C on a keyboard, move all attributes. I call this liberty. And now the footage is comp size. So this is important, and now we can drag this effect onto our footage. And of course we have to do this on frame number 1. Here we go. And now we applied it to the background. Okay, we drag that onto the footage. Here we go. Now this is exactly what it should look like. So the only thing we have to switch is the transfer mode from normal to add. And we're ready to go. So everything is like before. We simply have to make a copy of this footage if everything fits together. So something around here will have a glow, then one more frame. String Shift D. String Shift D is a very cool combination if you're working with Camtasia Studio, so you can paint around things here. But I don't like that. I simply like to not draw my thing here. I like to have my how to get rid of this? Okay, in general I will cut that into pieces. The shortcut is the pencil tool on Camtasia Studio, which is amazing. Learned something new. So in this case I simply duplicate this footage, bring it up to here, and this one down to here. So, and here we start getting rid of the Pattoon and the glow. Here we go, and we change the transfer mode to normal again. So this is right now here we're coming from this glowing thing here, going over, and very good. Maybe we have some afterglow to that, so we bring this a little bit more up to here and play with the transparency, T on the keyboard, opacity here, and bring this down to 0. So we have a little bit glowing, and then it fades into the state. Okay, so but I mean we'd like to do a tutorial, and this is simply dragging presets onto footage, but let's have a look what we can do with this effect with the preset to give you an idea what you can do with this. Okay, so this is the effect here, this is the FFX, and in the displays section we have different settings. You can simply manipulate them and get new results. For example, this is texture driven. So I mean, if you choose another texture, you will have a different turbulence here, or you can choose this one and you have a completely new distortion of this, as you see. And let's try this one here. You will see you have this new look. I mean, it's completely different. Okay, so you can manipulate this by using new textures. By the way, you can also pipe colorized images through that. So let's go to topicals and try this one. You will have a different result. And of course, you can also do some very crazy things. So let's go to our glitched lines here, for example, and choose this one, pipe this one. You will see you have this result. So it's more like yeah, it's more sorted. It's not so completely out of displace or display, so you have some more structure in there. It looks a bit more like pieces going on there. So this is one thing you can manipulate with that. And the second thing is, in the display section we have first of all, let me hit U on the keyboard so you see what is going on here. So there are a few things that are animated, not so much, but a few. And one thing is happen in the turbulence influence sections. You see here we have the most of animation in, and one thing is the rotation, and you have a offset center, and it sits, I think, over here. And by moving this, you completely move the way your influence, the way of the influence of your turbulence settings. So here you have a complete new way of fitting things together by simply manipulating the center point of this effect. And you see here, let me scroll out a bit, zoom out a bit. Here you see it's a complete new behavior of all of these things. So you can play around with these settings. You can play with the size, the influence of the size of the pixels according to the turbulence map. And as I said, the turbulence map, I bring this back to 0. This one is the influence of the turbulence engine inside of Pattoon. So click on that and you will see we have algorithm sign. And if you play with the frequency, you will change again the whole animation. Okay? Or the modulation. If you bring this down, it looks like this. Here we go. Comes some smooth lines here, and they go in here, and it sucks into the middle, and whop. I like special sound effects, by the way. Sorry for that. Just kidding. Yeah, this is the way you can switch it. You can, of course, use noise as a turbulence driver, then it gets really weird. You have very weird things here around. And you see now it gets and fits and flop. Here we go. I put that back to sine, and of course you can scale that, and you can manipulate those details here. So this is the way you can manipulate this preset before you build that from scratch. You can manipulate the auto animation speed. It's also auto animated. So here we go. You see that? So you can play around with these settings. If you crank that up, it gets much faster. Let me do a quick preview to that. You see it renders immediately, so it's pretty fast. And that looks weird. I mean, there's so many flickering going on there, and that looks like a cool beam effect. But anyway, I don't know what you need that for, but you can do so if you like to. So I bring the auto speed back to, we have, I think, 35, something around that here. So we got smooth animation. Here we go, everything works smooth, and until it fits together. You can of course play with the glow settings of this. We have 2 instances here, and of course you can put a false motion blur. I like this effect a lot. And let me go back to here. I go to my, you see how easy that is. Let me delete this effect. I bring in the beam number 2. I dragged it onto the correct layer, of course. Here we go. So this was the basic we had at the beginning. And let me showcase you what happened if you put a CC false motion blur onto that. And I put that between the glow and the Aftereffects, and you see you get very cool result here, and that looks brilliant. I mean, for a final render, that's amazing. If you do so, if you like to do. In this cases, to get most out of the image, especially here in this areas, I would like to increase the shutter angle to, let's say, 360. And of course increase the motion blur samples to at least 24. But if you do so, it takes render time. So make sure that your settings fit. If you put this motion blur on your artwork, it will take and cause render time. So this is the last effect I put on, and so but see the difference here. You see those fine particles here, and if you put that on, you will get immediately very nice movements here. Okay, so keep in mind you can do it this way or the other way. Hope you liked the tutorial. Hope you liked the Pattoon, and hope you see how easy it is to achieve very cool and stunning effects by using the presets and manipulating them. One thing I forgot before I say bye-bye. In case you have this animation here and you don't like the colorization of the particles, because this is quite blue, and for example you have your state of liberty. I go into this, it's blue, and in case, let's say you have some reddish footage. Here we go, and go to the red one, and no, to the green one, sorry, and bring this down. So in case you have some reddish footage, it will go reddish, and it won't fit to your design. I mean, that looks weird. So it's red, and what to do in this case? You get a few options, and the simplest thing is we put a Pattoon instance before the Aftereffects, which is the easiest and fastest fix. I would do so in post. I drag that on top of that. Now everything is black and white because we have those checker pattern, and I can go to my topical, for example, or let's topical, and I can put this bluish one, and I have I'm back to my original one, and of course I can tint that thing. So if you like to have it greenish and not bluish, you have a tint section here, and simply choose a greenish color and tint the whole thing into greenish, and you're done. I mean, be sure or be careful with the glow settings, but here you can tint that into green, into again reddish, or here this one, or blue, or whatever. So it's the quickest fix to get some to get rid of those background image if it don't fits to your complete artwork. Okay, so now half an hour, 30 minutes. Hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Hope you like us, and make sure to follow us on YouTube. And again, if you don't have the Pattoon beta so far and the trial version is not online, leave us a message in the comments below, and you will get the beta files to test this plugin and to follow this tutorial. See you in the next one. Bye.